What's up, guys? And welcome to this episode of Tuesday Night Talks. My name's Mikhail.
And I'm Hannah.
And we're coming at you at sunset. We didn't do any promoting for this episode. I don't know why that happened.
Life happens.
Client work happened?
Yeah.
There's Matthew over there who came last week and talked to us a lot about search engine optimization. But today we got some questions submitted in, which I'm pretty pumped on, as always. If you do have any questions about social media marketing, business development, content development, or anything like that, please feel free to ask your questions below and we will answer them. Every Tuesday, we do a Facebook Live session that answers marketing and business development questions. We'd love to get into other subjects as well. For example, how to train for a 5K marathon. Hannah might be able to tell you a little bit about that.
Those are two different races.
I wouldn't. Clearly, this is not my specialty. Michael,
This is why we're talking marketing.
This is why we're talking marketing. I'll never do that again. Anyways, Michael, thank you so much for checking in. Bardia, so much. Thank you for checking in. And Anthony, so much. Thank you so much for checking in. Clearly, my brain is not firing off
Words
today.
are really
but
hard
today. I promise you, we're gonna make this one worth it. Melissa, it's so nice to see you. I hope E3 is treating you well. Why don't we just get started with some questions? Actually, let's find out what Hannah did this weekend.
What did I do this weekend?
What did you do today, Hannah?
What did I do today?
Before she gets started, I'm sorry. Before Hannah gets started, she just moved here a little over a month ago from Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah, a month and a half.
Wow, that went by fast. A month and a half ago from Nashville, Tennessee. For those of you that don't know the story, we actually met on Twitter. I slid into the DMs and asked her to do some copywriting for some of our clients.
I was really suspicious, but I
Yes.
ended up responding. And I mean, hey, that brought me out to California. So
Yes.
I feel like...
And ever since then, we've been working on different projects in real estate and dental. We're doing nutrition now, which is really cool. And I'm really excited about that. And we've had a great working relationship since. So, and friendship.
No,
we also
I don't
do a
know.
podcast. There's a lot of that.
We
which is
do.
great.
That's going to come back soon.
Michael wants to know how you like.
Oh, hey, Michael.
How you like California so far?
It's good.
Do you remember interviewing Michael on year one?
I do remember. He was one of our first ones.
He was.
Is great.
Yeah.
I like it overall. I like the lack of humidity. Weather's starting to get a bit hot, but it's actually cooler here than it is on the East Coast, and I think Nashville too. I'm representing Nashville because I didn't wash my hair yesterday. Real talk.
All
We're
right.
both going really well tonight. But yeah, overall I do really enjoy it. I think the culture is different. Like I was anticipating it to be a lot harsher, I think, just being in the South for a couple of years. But I really like it so far. People seem nice.
Yeah.
This
that's
guy's
exciting.
okay.
I'm okay. All right. And today, Hannah actually went to Disneyland.
I got free tickets. My
Have you been
roommate
to
got free
Disneyland
tickets.
before that?
I've been to Disney World, but the first time I went to Disney World, I was 18 because I was there for a radio conference in college.
Sure.
So haven't really done much Disney things.
Right.
Many Disney things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a writer, it's fine. But yeah, it was good. I got really burnt. Look at that. But it was good. The Guardians of the Galaxy ride had like an hour and a half wait, and we didn't have enough time. So we're just gonna have to go back.
It's brutal.
And yeah, it was good.
I like Disneyland.
The Indiana
so I'd be
Jones
happy
ride
to go
was
with you.
surprisingly good.
I like that ride.
That one's really good.
It's one of the ones that I like to go on when I'm there. Raquel, it's very good to see you. Caitlin, what's up? Thank you so much for checking in. For those of you that are just checking in, every Tuesday night we do a Facebook Live session answering any marketing questions and trying not to jumble up our words like we have in the first 5 minutes of today. So let's
If
get
you're
to the
sticking around,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. Maybe that's why they're like, how many times am I going to put my foot in my mouth in the next 20 minutes?
Just watching the train wreck.
Yeah, and if any of you guys have any questions that you'd like answered live, feel free to leave them in the comments, and we'll be sure to get to those. But we did get some questions submitted today. Thank you, Anthony, for all the questions that you submitted, which was really cool. And one of the first questions that Anthony asked was, how do you build loyalty and trust within the team around you? I think that that's a really interesting one that goes a little bit more into business building, which is something I'm very excited about, obviously. So, Hannah, what would you say some of your strategies are? What have you seen work? You've worked in a lot of different groups before. What works in terms of building a great team around you?
I think ultimately it's trust. People need to earn your trust, but I think you should at least start with kind of like a basis of, I'm going to give you something to do and a deadline, or we're going to work together on something, and then if you show me that you can complete it, then we're going to keep going like that.
Sure.
And I think just mutual respect too, because everyone has their talents, everyone has things they're working on to improve, and so I think that you really need to. I just lost my train of thought, guys. Let's be real.
Well, you were talking about building trust and then respecting other
mutual
people's
respect.
talents.
Yes, because I don't think there's enough of that in society today, and especially if you're entering into a new industry or a new task, I think just learn from the people around you and really emphasize doing things as a team. Like, we always copy each other on emails when it's relevant, even if we don't necessarily need to be copied. It's just like, hey, this is happening, copy us an email. And I think just kind of keeping everyone in the same loop and not kind of excluding people,
Sure.
unless it's like certain, when you get to a team large enough, you don't need 8 people at a meeting.
Yeah, absolutely.
But within, like, for 2 or 3 people, everyone's reliably needed on the team. I think that's important.
Do you think trust starts from the top or bottom?
Ooh, definitely the top. Because, I mean, the top is leadership, and you need to have leadership in order to grow a strong team.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's definitely kind of an underrated skill, I think, today.
Leadership?
Leadership is, yeah.
I would agree with you on that. Team, for me, building a team around me is something that,
like, complement your strengths.
Yeah,
it is around you. You started everything.
Yeah,
you're good.
Yeah, I know. I hate saying that shit, but like literally, building a team around me or whatever it might be. It took Hannah and I a while, but there was a little bit of, in my opinion, instant rapport as well.
I feel like there was. I think we could tell that each other, like, we were both hard workers. We both appreciated the hustle. Another word that I don't really like.
Yeah, I remember that word too.
But yeah, I think we could definitely both tell we were hard workers.
Yeah.
And
well, you knew that we I think at that point we knew that we needed each other as well, right? Like, you wanted more clients and I needed to be able to fulfill the work that I was pitching, right? So, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I think that's where that mutual respect that you're talking about really plays in. Carol, thank you for checking in. Daniel, thank you so much for checking in. Today we're just answering a lot of questions that have come in through the internet. We just finished up with the importance of or how to build loyalty and trust amongst a team.
I have a question for you, though.
Sure.
How have you seen yourself grow as a leader in the past 3 or 4 years?
Understanding that I suck at a lot of things. And like getting really, really comfortable with the fact that I suck at so many things. But then, I know we're just talking about this. Being organized.
Because that's me on the team. I'm the organizer.
Being, organization, as well as, I think that's really the biggest thing. That's like the overlying thing is like being organized is something that is really tough for me. Like, I know everything that's due and when it should be done and that type of thing, but actually laying it out and making sure that they're fulfilled in, like, not necessarily a timely manner, because they always get done, but in a manner in which, like, we can expect it and we don't have to worry about it is something that's completely different. So really, really, understanding where I suck at, and then also being able to give it up to people that I really trust, like you or Nelson or Carly or, anybody else that we've worked with in the past. If, I'm completely comfortable with looking the other way as long as I can trust them. And the only reason that that's happened is because that was shown on the other end that you can actually execute properly, right? So I think that that's another way you can build a team around you. And in addition to that, as in a leadership role, and I guess I can just call it that, in a leadership role, you really have to care about the people around you. And it's not just caring, it's like, oh, I hope that, their bills get paid. That's one of it. But I think that it's important to care about,
like, their future and them as a person. And
them as a person.
Daily life.
Yeah, the things that they're interested in. Like, what do you like to eat? Or what do you do, like, outside of just the work type of thing? You know what I mean? Especially when you're starting out and you have a small team. I think it's really important to essentially be kind of personal with it. And by the way, that's not a tactic. I mean, I consider you one of my great friends now, and everybody else on the team as well. And I think that that's something that's really important to have, especially because in those beginning stages, when you are building your team around you, I mean, shoot, you just got to be there for each other in ways that, like, that aren't conventional in a corporate structure, right?
Awesome. So, wait, Daniel had a really good point about knowing your limits. That allows your team to show their own potential.
And that's something really I'm working on right now, is knowing my limits. I feel like I can do everything, but I can't. Carol asks, what is the most important aspect of client management?
I mean, organization, for sure. And I think having a system and a process, and that's something that's really hard when you start out, because it's very easy to just kind of do it on the fly, and I work really well under pressure. So be like, oh, I'll get it done. It's due today. I'll get it done tonight. Like that type of thing. But I think, organization is key, and communication. You need to learn the line of what should I tell them, but they don't need to know, and what do I actually have to tell them, and how do we need to communicate? And you want to always do it on their time, not yours. And so this is something I learned from a client, or I heard from a client recently, about how you always want to do something on the client's time, like within reason. But this is especially beneficial because they're busy, and yes, we're busy, but we're helping them. So we want to do whatever possible to make it easier for them, whether it's meeting at 8 a.m. or staying a little bit after business hours.
Right.
We don't even work business hours anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But kind of like giving them the benefit of doubt, communication.
Absolutely.
Project management system.
Anthony, thank you so much for sharing the it's not a podcast. Sharing the feed. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
For anybody just checking in, feel free to ask your questions, and we'll be sure to answer them. I don't even care what it's about today. I don't care.
It's randomness.
Just random.
Yeah.
This is what you're getting from Mikhail and Hannah today. Ask whatever you want.
Maybe next week we'll be
But
back
we are
with
talking
something.
about the important aspects of client management. In my opinion, as much as organization is, and I think this is where the balance really is here, is I actually highly, highly value a workflow process, which is crazy. If you know me personally, it's like insane that I actually value that. But, I also think that, exactly like you said, it's very important to understand that you're on the client's time. They're your client. It's not the other way around. Most likely you're a contractor or something like that. And then in addition to that, too, I think it's important to really, really care about your client's business, really care about them just as you do your team, just as you do yourself. Because, there's going to be times, just like in any other situation, if you were employed by them or anything else, where you might slip up. It's just human nature.
And also, when their business is doing well, you stay on as a contractor because they can afford you. So you want to be beneficial. Like you want to show them value.
Absolutely.
And that's just the nature of the business.
Yeah. If you're gonna sell something, make sure you have the chops to execute on what you sold, or you find the people that can execute it for you. So that's definitely the pieces of advice that we'd give there. Another question that we had submitted today, and again, feel free to submit your questions live, forgot to write it down, but actually another one was, how would you go about referring clients? Referring clients to other contractors or other vendors for services that you're not necessarily offering. I think
that is where it's really important to know your limits. Say the basics of SEO, but their strategy, they need more. Then that's when you would say, okay, hey, I know someone and they have a really good SEO agency, so let's pull them in.
Right.
And you still have your business, but they can benefit and end up, that's a win-win situation. You help someone else get business, and then later on they could pay back that favor.
Sure.
And just kind of it's not always I'll help you, you help me. You want to give without the expectation of anything in return, but that's how you build your referral network. If you have 3 or 4 people, core businesses that you can rely on, I think that's one way to do it.
No, I think that's really important. The number one thing to understand, to keep in mind, is you better know who you're referring your work to.
Yes, because that goes back on you.
Yeah, and you got to trust them too. As an agency, that's what we do, kind of. That's just what happens, is you have to build a network of people that you trust and work with them and things like that. So I think that that's really important, but I also think that being upfront with your clients about, hey, we're going to refer this out because we can't do it, I think that's going to build a lot of trust with your clients as well, because you're not fronting. It's hey, somebody else is doing this, and they're really going to respect that. And then in addition to that, if the person that you're referring work to actually executes very well, your client's going to trust you more and bring you into different things as well. So I think that's something to keep in mind. Daniel's asking, and by the way, Daniel, thank you so much for the question. And Daniel asks, how do you handle explaining to a client that their expectations are unrealistic?
Very carefully.
Yeah.
I'm not good with confrontation, so this is.
Yeah. I don't necessarily think it always has to be a confrontational thing.
No, I think there's just the potential for that, or I think that it's immediately going to be a confrontation. What do you think, Mick?
I think that the biggest thing to understand, sunglasses are coming off now. I think that the biggest thing to do with your clients is educate them on how it actually works, right?
Yes.
And
definitely.
and when you do that, there's literally an art to explaining to your client, for example, what your process is like. You know what I mean? Not saying that you shouldn't be transparent, but in a way that it doesn't come off defensive. What your
or
process
like they're
is
an idiot for not knowing, because you definitely don't want to.
Yeah, you don't want to make them feel like
talk.
that. No. But you definitely have to kind of let them into, hey, this is how we're working. This is when you put in a request, this is how it goes, and this is how it goes down the funnel and back up until it's delivered back to you. And in terms of results and marketing and everything like that, I think that really comes down to understanding your industry very well.
Yes.
Like, a client can sniff bullshit from a mile away, but if you're telling them, it's like, hey, this is where you sit in the market. This is what your competition looks like. This is what you're spending in comparison to your competition. Like, you know, you gotta understand, like, this just isn't gonna fly.
Right.
Sometimes what you'll notice too is the clients don't even know enough about their industry to make educated decisions on this. So you really gotta have a lot of empathy and be like, hey, look, your average ticket price for this, your average ticket price is $15. Right now, you're only spending, you're spending $500, but your cost per click is too high. Like, your cost per click is too high. This isn't the strategy that we should go with for you if you're using Facebook ads. Conversely, if somebody's average ticket price is $4,000, then they can't expect to spend $100 on advertising and get $4,000 in return. Right? That just doesn't make sense. The higher, and this is stuff that maybe that you should know if you're in marketing for them or something like that, so that you can educate your client really well. And that comes down to, like, if you're a fitness trainer or anything like that. It's like, all right, John, you decided to work out twice this week, but you're eating 7 pizzas a week, and you're not losing any weight, and you say you're working hard. Like, look, there's a lot of more work that you have to put in here. You really just have to get in a habit of being able to educate your client from a way that's constructive, letting them know the situation transparently and how you can help. And that's really, what I would say about that. Juan, thank you so much for your question. Juan is asking, how do you let go? Yes, we do need to connect on coffee soon. Thank you so much, Tanner. Juan wants to know, how do you let go of some of your responsibilities as your business grows?
How do you, Mikhail?
What the does that mean?
Me. I mean, delegation is just hard in general. I've been in, not necessarily where we are now, but I've been in leadership positions in the past, and it's so hard because, again, it goes back to what we were talking about at the very beginning about trust, and you need to have a core team of people that you know will get it done. But I mean, ultimately, you just kind of have to, like, take that little bit of you that's not quite sure and just give it to him and try it.
This is kind of an odd spot because we've never necessarily disagreed on something in the past. But earlier you said, or maybe you have to earn somebody's trust,
right? Or
they have to earn your trust, one way or another.
Or right, keep going.
Well, I was going to say, from a leadership position, I actually believe that
the other way around.
No, you actually have to choose to trust the person.
You do, and I think you like start with a basis of trust, if that's weird, if that like makes sense, and then you can either add to it or take away from it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like starting at negative and going, or starting at 0 and going positive or negative. Because I think ultimately to hand something off to someone, you do need to trust them, even if they're fairly new. Like if you hire a virtual assistant, like you don't know them, you have a company vouching for them. But I think you do need to trust them and then have that built. Yeah. But I think there is a kind of like a balance between that.
And the other thing too, you should be, if you're gonna hand off something to somebody, spend a lot of time training them, or at least enough time training them. And then you also have to create an environment for yourself where your team feels comfortable coming to you for training also. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of goes both ways, because whoever you're working with has to be open to being vulnerable in that spot and being like, hey, look, I don't know how to do this. And then you, as the leader, have to be patient enough to actually do enough for them to where they feel empowered and comfortable to do that on their own. And then you pass it off, and you can do it incrementally. To be honest, that's something that I've struggled with in the past, because I wouldn't necessarily say struggled, but like something I've tried in the past is like, if somebody just doesn't get a job done, then I just don't go back to them anymore. Like I just don't do it.
Like don't really give them the second chance. Kind of.
So that's that's obviously something that you're gonna have to work with your team on. But again, training them as much as you can and is great. But I really think that this goes back to what Hannah was saying, was trust, and knowing that you guys both have the same end goal is such a big deal, because at that point, you know, it like the egos don't fucking matter at that point, right? It's just about getting the job done for the client, for your mission, for your brand, whatever you need to do. And if that goal is set in place, then the egos can go away. And then at that point, you know, you can train better, you can, you know, ask for advice better, or whatever it might be, and then you'll hopefully have a great relationship moving forward. But
I think it's
goes both
also,
ways.
as the person under the leader, you also need to be, I mean, this also obviously like depends on the relationship, but you also need to be okay kind of pushing a little bit, like, really, what can I help you with?
Sure.
Like, I can see you're busy and I can see you're not getting things done. What's something that I can do that takes something off your plate that either I could learn to do fairly quickly, or that I already know, and then you can kind of coach me your specific way or something like that, so that it really, because sometimes leaders need help with delegation.
Yeah,
and so
I
you
think
need to
that's
come
true.
to them and be like, hey, I see you struggling.
I think
what
that's
can I do?
true. And at the end of the day, it always comes down to communication. And that's that. Like, you got to talk to your team about what you need. Your team needs to relay it back to you, so on and so forth. There was a couple other questions on the list. What time? What are we
We're
at? 7:20.
7:20.
Sounds good. Cool. So thank you so much for everybody checking in. Cheryl, it's so great to see you. Ralph, thank you for checking in almost every Tuesday. It seems like we really appreciate it. For those of you who've never checked in before, every Tuesday night we do a Facebook Live session to answer any questions about business development and marketing. Today we're feeling a little sassy.
And a little unplanned.
And a little
not
unplanned,
ready.
which is great. I kind of like that dynamic, to be honest with you. I want to throw something at you right now, and I want to have a little fun with this. What are 5 words that you hate right now?
That's actually a good one.
In our industry, what are 5
In
words
our
that
industry?
you hate?
Hustle,
Yeah. Yes.
guru. You can hear the disdain in my voice as I said guru. Let's see. Something about, like, this is more than one
How about
word.
entrepreneur? That word sucks.
Entrepreneur. You really don't like entrepreneur.
I fucking hate the word entrepreneur.
Let's see. Hustle, guru. Expert in certain
Transparency.
circumstances. Ooh, that's a good one.
That's a good one. I like that. Authenticity. Authentic is another word I hate.
Yeah, everyone's using the word authentic.
Everybody
these
uses
days.
the word
See,
authentic.
the thing is, like, hustle is a great thing. Yeah, you need hustle. But it's become such a cliche, sappy word now.
Sure. Ralph actually brought up I'm sorry to cut you
No,
off.
it's okay.
But Ralph actually brought up a great point that delegation only works if the delegator is working as well. And I think
like
that's
that.
so heavy, because I think that right now in you know,
Wait, it has nothing to do with it. Sorry, back to
yeah,
the future.
but it's funny because right now I feel like anybody with an Instagram profile calls himself a CEO. And to be honest with you, for organic is another word I hate. Yes,
Daniel, yes.
and to be honest with you, that's something that I had on mine too. I decided to take it off for whatever reason, just because I think it's been tarnished. I also don't think I've accomplished enough to even call myself something like that. But one thing that I hate more than anything is that there are so many people who want to be business owners but don't understand that being a business owner isn't as easy as just like
not
calling yourself a
glamorous.
business owner. It's like actually working.
It's the getting up early. It's the doing the bookkeeping.
Yeah.
It's the paying taxes
It's-
and all that.
It's getting
dealing
the
with
clients, it's creating the strategies, it's making sure that the internet's working, like stupid shit like that. And I think that a lot of people forget about that, and they get so wrapped up in just letting people know that they own a business that they forget to run it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So I think that there's a big difference there too. So completely agree with you, Ralph. If the person delegating doesn't work, then it's definitely not going to work. So I respect that.
I had
quite a
another
bit.
word on the tip of my tongue, but I forget. I couldn't think of it. What are some of yours? So entrepreneur.
Entrepreneur is one I hate. I don't mind hustle. I stopped using it a lot, but yeah, hustle is probably one just because it's definitely overused. Authentic is one I don't like anymore. Expert.
Yeah.
Yeah, expert.
Like guru and expert are both.
Guru and
Like if
expert.
you've been in the industry for 40 years and you truly are an expert, use the word expert.
Social
but if you're...
proof is a phrase I hate.
Oh.
Yeah. Only because it's just the reason I don't like the word social proof, and this is for anybody that's looking to hire a social media marketer moving forward. If they can't prove any results and they're like, oh yeah, it's social proof. What social proof actually is essentially
I can't tell
like
ROI.
yeah, I can't tell ROI, and by people saying that they liked my restaurant or they liked my service or blah 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 blah, blah, that's social proof. Where that is definitely a valuable part, but if that's their sales pitch, you should probably vet
Run away.
that person. No, not necessarily run away, because I think that it's important. But when you are getting pitched by a marketer of some sort, go through their strategy and exactly what they're doing, and not like, oh, we're going to post this to Facebook or whatever it is, but why are they posting something to Facebook? What is their strategy between using different hashtags? How do they plan on growing your audience? How do they plan on measuring traffic? Most importantly, how are they going to measure themselves as a successful marketer, right? And if they're saying, oh, if you get more likes, this is my opinion.
Yeah.
It depends on where you're at with your business, and if all you want are more likes, that's fine. We know a lot of people who can get you there, but
You can also buy them.
you can also buy them. But but the thing is, as business owner, and I mean this seriously, and I have a lot of empathy for business owners, because I see a lot of people get kind of owned by their marketers. They don't know what they're talking about, things like that. I don't even pitch people anymore. I literally just tell them what to do. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Like the last 30 sales pitches I've had, I just tell them what to do, because
that shows your expertise and it without.
Well, even then, it's like I would like, as somebody, as the service provider, I would like them
really good guy.
Thank you, I appreciate that. As some people would disagree. But really, as the service provider, I want my customer or my client to be as educated in my process as possible, and exactly what's going to happen. And if they see value in my process, you know what I mean, then they'll understand that the results are a product of the process, and they're not buying results. You know what I'm saying? They're buying the process that hopefully ends up in a great result. And that's kind of how I look at it anyways, because nothing that we're doing, we're digital marketers, nothing that we're doing is like magic. You know what I'm saying?
It's the process and the hustle.
It's just understanding how every part of our business works. And so I think that's really important. All of a sudden this became something about us and not really for the audience. So I'm sorry, but it's just a different...
What are your 5 words that you aren't liking today?
Yeah.
Let's throw it back at you.
I know. Actually, for anybody
I like the organic one.
I like the organic one. For anybody that's gotten this far in the live feed today,
you
please...
put up with... You're still with us.
You're still with us. I really appreciate that. Today was a weird episode, a little salty. I think it's been too much time in front of the computer today, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But if I would actually like to, and Hannah would like to see the 5 words...
Or let's say 2. You don't have to think of 5.
3 words.
3.
Let's compromise it. 3 words that are going, and it doesn't necessarily have to do with marketing, although for us it definitely is entrepreneur. CEO, that's another one.
Yeah.
CEO, something like that. Serial entrepreneur is another one that I like. I'm like, what does that, you're 19, how did you do that?
Okay, if you're in your 40s.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But things like that. 3 words that you can't stand right now. That's not typically the way that we like to roll, but today's a little different. But leave them in the comments. I would like to see what everybody's about. And then next week, I promise we'll come with a lot more sunshine.
Maybe.
Yeah?
Who knows?
I think,
Isn't June gloom a thing here?
No. I meant from our souls.
Oh, from our souls. Oh, hey guys.
Yeah.
The sun got to me today at Disney. So
subject matter expert.
Oh my gosh. Expert. Yes, Ralph. Yes, that is very true.
Fantasy football expert.
The
fantasy football expert is just as good as a social media expert these days. Anyway, thank you so much for checking in. We hope to see you next week. If you have any questions after you watch the show, feel free to leave them in the comments, and we'll go back and comment as well. Ralph, thank you so much for always checking in. Anthony, thank you so much for sharing. Travis, thank you so much for hanging out today too. Everybody else that always checks in, we really, really appreciate it. If you have any questions for us, feel free to DM us, leave it in the comments, and we'll definitely see you next week, Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we'll be answering your questions live, and hopefully have a guest next week too. I didn't really coordinate that either.
Also, side note, I think there's a cop behind us, so we might be getting arrested. Who knows?
I hope not.
Been staring at that for the past 5 minutes. Right. I'm sorry.
Until next week, I'm Mikhail.
And I'm Hannah.
And we'll see you next time.